Team, what's going on? We got a great card coming on. Brooklyn, New York. Daniel Jacobs versus Polish fighter Maciej Sulecki. And I'm really excited for this matchup because a lot of people are underrating Maciej Sulecki in this matchup and what he brings to the table in this fight. I'm going to get more into the styles of both of these fighters, ultimately why I think we're going to get an exciting matchup. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. And I'm going to try to talk about a lot of the fighters on this card, a lot of talent, a lot of fights that I think people will enjoy. So please look at the text on the screen. I'm going to have a lot of written information for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Now let's get right into it. So let's first start off with Maciej Sulecki of Poland and what he brings to the table in this fight. When I was watching film of Sulecki, some things that really stood out to me that I really liked. Let's first start off with his activity level. This guy constantly walks forward, and he does so closing the distance effectively by using different angles and also punch variety when he comes in. So sometimes you'll see him double jab and throw right hand to close distance on his opponent. Sometimes he'll just use a double jab. Other times he'll throw a left hook. Sometimes just a straight right hand. Sometimes he'll lean forward, use his elbow, and get punching space. So this is a guy who is a crafty fighter, and he always is constantly working when his opponent tries to hold him. He is always trying to fight you in that clinch. So you got to make sure you're aware of that because a lot of fighters, they don't like to fight out of the clinch. This guy will fight you all night out of the clinch, and he's got a ferocious pace, excellent stamina, and good punch variety as well. When I watch him, he's a guy who's got decent hand speed, and he's got a good left hook, right hand, and his jab is very effective as well. So some good weapons at his dispense. And when you look at his resume, he beat Jack Culcay, of course, who gave Demetrius Andrade a very good fight. And also, he defeated Hugo Centeno Jr., and he did so in dominating fashion. And Centeno Jr. was hyped up by a lot of people, and Maciej Sulecki completely dominated him in that fight. It wasn't even close. So this is a guy who's basically put in his dues. He deserves a spot on HBO, in my opinion. And I think he's going to give fans a better fight than they expect. And I think he's a much better fighter than a lot of people are giving him credit for. I think that is because a lot of boxing media has not done the research on this guy and watched his fights. Now, moving on, let's talk about Daniel Jacobs and what he brings to the table in this fight. Jacobs, of course, former cancer survivor, miraculous story of how he's even come back to the sport and been so dominant. And he's a guy, also Daniel Jacobs, who doesn't get the necessary credit he deserves. Jacobs is a guy who was supposed to lose to Peter Quillen, ended up knocking Peter Quillen out early. He wasn't supposed to get past the 7th or 8th round with Golovkin. Ends up giving Gennady Golovkin the toughest fight of his career by far. Very, very close decision. And Jacobs really deserved a rematch with Gennady Golovkin rather than Canelo Alvarez, in my opinion. Now, some keys that Daniel Jacobs has: he likes to switch stances. He has pretty good movement. He's a guy who has a very stiff, ferocious jab. He also is a good combination puncher. He's got good hand speed. Physically, he's very strong. He's a very big fighter for the weight class. And also, he has good punch variety. So those are just some keys that Daniel Jacobs has, and he has a good amateur background. And to me, he's improving every fight. And that Triple G fight, I think, turned the corner for Daniel Jacobs and what he can bring to the table. Big stage, underdog, he really showed what he's made of. And ultimately, when I look at this fight, it's going to be interesting because Sulecki, I think the only chance he has to win this fight is he's got to be constant, nonstop pace. He's got to push Daniel Jacobs back. But I also think he needs to make this a dirty fight. So that's unfortunately, I think, how Sulecki is going to have to win this fight. He's going to be working in the clinch, forearms, things like this, and really making it a tough night for Jacobs, not letting Jacobs get his timing down. And physically, he's going to have to be ready for Jacobs at all times of this fight because Jacobs is going to be the physically stronger fighter. Also, he's going to be the bigger puncher of the two. He's got better hand speed. And the problem for Maciej Sulecki is in this fight, Daniel Jacobs is a very good counterpuncher. So when you have an activity fighter like Sulecki, he's going to be constantly throwing punches. But the problem is that volume isn't going to work with a guy like Jacobs because Jacobs naturally is a very good counterpuncher, and he'll take away your rhythm. And the problem is then he starts timing you coming in, and then that's when you're in trouble. So Sulecki's going to have to make this, like I said, a close corridor fight, in my opinion. Keep Jacobs backed up, smother Jacobs. And I think he's going to have to fight, like I said, a little dirty if he wants to win this encounter. Now, in this matchup, guys, however, I am picking Daniel Jacobs in this fight. I just think that his counterpunching is going to be too much. I think he's a little bit more technical of a boxer than Sulecki. I also like that he has Andre Rozier in his corner, very underrated trainer who always makes good adjustments for his fighters in fights, gives clear, concise coaching. And in the sport of boxing right now, there isn't a lot of real teachers anymore. There's guys who hold mitts, there's different things like that, but they're not teaching you the way that like an Andre Rozier is. So I think for all those factors, I think that Daniel Jacobs is going to win this fight with Sulecki. However, I don't think it's going to be easy. Like I could see like an 8-4 unanimous decision for Jacobs. Sulecki, I think early may win some rounds, and Jacobs going to have to adjust to his style and figure out what he's doing. Because Sulecki, like I said, very underrated fighter. He's Polish. Those guys are tough as nails. They have a great fan base. And like I said, Sulecki, his game, and he's going to be throwing punches consistently throughout this fight. So you got to be ready for that pace, his style, and he can box. So it's going to be a good fight, guys, in my opinion. But I got Daniel Jacobs winning a unanimous decision in this fight. Let me know what you guys think of the video, who you got in this fight, and who do you want to see Daniel Jacobs fight next? In my opinion, I'd love to see him fight Jermall Charlo after their encounter in New York City. Let me know what you guys think, guys. Once again, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, and subscribe if you haven't done so. Thank you.